The Ledger of Lies, an original forensic audit crime series. They called it the Pride of Wall Street. Glenford Chase, a billion-dollar empire of finance, technology, and influence. A company built on trust, reputation, and flawless performance. Its executives were idols of success. Its brand was untouchable, and its profits unstoppable. But beneath the polished glass walls and glowing reports, something was wrong. Very wrong. Over 7 years, $97 million quietly vanished. No alarms were triggered. No whistle was blown. It was as if the money had simply evaporated into thin air, until one woman noticed. Her name was Sophie Adler, a meticulous auditor with a past that taught her one truth: numbers never lie. What began as a small irregularity buried in a quarterly report soon turned into a trail of deception, greed, and revenge. As Sophie followed the paper trail, she found herself standing against the very people who ran the empire, the same ones who signed her paycheck. And what she discovered next wasn't just theft. It was betrayal, deep, personal, and planned from the inside. This was not a story about money alone. It was a story about justice lost and vengeance quietly waiting to be reclaimed. The walls of Glenford Chase were about to crack open, revealing lies so dark they would shake the foundations of corporate America. Because in the world of forensic audit, every number tells a story, and every ledger hides a lie. Episode 1, The Dip That Didn't Make Sense. Theme, the calm before the storm. Glenford Chase, a blue-chip powerhouse, is riding high, but when a subtle quarterly dip appears in the company's Asia operations report, newly appointed Chief Internal Auditor Sophie Adler notices something others don't. A pattern in procurement costs that simply doesn't add up. As she begins probing the books, she faces resistance from CFO David Branson, who dismisses it as routine accounting error. But Sophie's instincts tell her otherwise. She begins to trace invoice trails and finds something strange. A vendor in Kuala Lumpur. No office, no staff, and millions in payments. Sophie makes a discreet call to an old FBI contact. I need someone who knows how to follow money that wasn't meant to be seen. Episode 2, Ghost Companies and Paper Trails. Theme, shadows in the balance sheet. Enter Jonah Mears, a rugged, no-nonsense forensic investigator with a quiet past and a sharp mind. Together with Sophie, they begin to map the payments to Omnivex Trade Ltd., the mysterious vendor. Using cross-border financial data, Jonah discovers a network of offshore shell companies linking back to a Cayman Islands trust. One name pops up repeatedly on ownership documents: Irene Caldwell, Glenford Chase's high-profile COO, the queen of clean operations, the face of diversity and discipline, a woman who once donated her entire bonus to charity. Why was she linked to offshore accounts? Sophie asked Jonah, is she stealing or hiding something? Episode 3, The Woman Behind the Mirror. Theme, doubt and deception. Irene's professional image is flawless, but Jonah isn't convinced. He digs into her background, her lifestyle, her spending habits. Nothing extravagant. No private jets. No hidden properties. The money's there, over $60 million, but she hasn't touched a cent. Meanwhile, Sophie receives an anonymous package at home. Old photos of Irene and a man. Same man who was arrested a decade ago. On the back, Matthew Caldwell, 10 years. Innocent. Irene steps into Sophie's office late one night. She closes the door. If you go any deeper, you better be ready for what you find. Episode 4, The Fall of Matthew Caldwell. Theme, The Price of Silence. Flashback episode. 10 years earlier, Irene's brother Matthew Caldwell, a junior analyst at Glenford Chase, was arrested for insider trading. What the world saw, a young man who broke the law. What really happened? He was used. In sealed internal memos, CEO Martin Chase authorized trades using Matthew's employee login. When regulators circled, the company sacrificed Matthew to protect their own. Irene was told to keep quiet or risk her career and her family's destruction. She chose to stay inside. Jonah uncovers a deleted voice recording from 10 years ago. A male voice says, "Frame him. He's disposable. We protect the top." Episode 5, The Empire of Paper and Power. Theme, Systemic Corruption. Sophie and Jonah's audit now unearths more than just Irene's offshore account. Dozens of travel reimbursements across the C-suite, all tied to non-existent off-site retreats. Estates and properties disguised as meeting locations were in fact privately owned by shell corporations. The link? All roads lead to the same Cayman Trust. 6 top executives. Complicit, the CFO, legal counsel, the chief risk officer, and sitting above them all, Martin Chase, the CEO. Sophie is faced with a moral dilemma. Expose it and risk everything or become part of it. She walks into a board meeting. "I have something to show you all." Then fade to black. Episode 6, The Reckoning. Theme, Justice or Revenge. Federal prosecutors are called in. Irene is arrested, but in an unexpected twist, she strikes a plea deal, turning over full evidence. Ledger copies, login trails, even voice memos from secret boardroom meetings. The feds raid Glenford Chase HQ. Martin Chase resigns in disgrace. Shareholders panic. The company's stock plummets. In a media storm, Irene speaks only once. "I didn't steal it. I reclaim what they stole from us." The world is divided. Is she a criminal or a corporate avenger? Sophie visits Irene in jail. "You did it all for your brother, didn't you?" Irene replies, "No, I did it because justice doesn't knock." You have to build the door yourself. Episode 7, Numbers Never Lie. Theme, the aftermath. Glenford and Chase faces federal restructuring. New whistleblower policies, forensic audits, board resignations. Irene is sentenced to 3 years, eligible for parole in 18 months. Sophie testifies before Congress about corporate fraud. Jonah disappears into his next case, and the world is left with a haunting legacy. A $97 million crime committed not for greed, but for redemption. In the world of forensic audit, the numbers don't just expose crime. They uncover motive, betrayal, and sometimes justice written in silence.